Alright, welcome back to my training videos. Here is the second part of a session that I uploaded earlier. As you can see, I'm about 60 hands in on all my tables except the bottom right. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. I really enjoy creating them. I hope they help. I am realizing that at enhanceYourEdge.com, more of my articles are geared. They haven't been geared very much towards strategy. I feel like we cover a lot of the strategy in these videos. So if you would like me to post more strategy-oriented articles instead of stories and things that I feel are poker related, like getting good sleep and stuff like that, please just send me an email at brad@enhanceYourEdge.com. Top left, flatting 7-5 suited on the button. It's a little loose, but it's a little loose, especially considering the 3-bet frequency of the 1 seat and the 2 seat. We could flat here, especially versus his sizing. We don't know what's going on with the other player left. It's really easy for him to blow us off with double barrels, so we just give up. In hindsight, I don't really mind a flat on the flop, especially given his small bet sizing. We could even throw in a small raise to just basically grab our equity. Bottom left with the king 10, taking a pot control type line. This player is very, very nitty. Yeah, so pot control. By pot control, I meant we are check raising him. I can't really say I love my play. I'm probably about 9 days removed from actually playing this session. So the farther removed you get from the session, the more time your brain has to work and analyze things. Kind of the background processes are working, and you get a really good idea of what you can do to improve once you take a break away from the tables. It's pretty interesting to me how at the top right table we're running at 18, 14, 5% 3-bet, which are very nitty type stats. And I mean, I don't think we're nit. I think we at my other tables, my stats are definitely looser. Want to see bet with the deuces to get a good idea of where we're at. If you just completely break the flop, we want to grab our equity instead of letting a card peel off because our hand is not so fabulous. Definitely peeling with the 8-10 versus an under the gun raiser and a player that's pretty loose, playing 50% of his hands. It's a very good multi-way type hand. Rivering 2 pair, and not the greatest of boards. But we win. The 2 seat at the bottom left, pre-flop raise of 5%. Doesn't really see bet flops, playing 60% of his hands. He's clearly a fish, but pot size bet is not something. Pot size bet versus a guy that barely raises pre is not something I'm willing to float or bluff. I just have to assume that he has it more often than not. Folding ace-10 off versus the 1 seed. He's playing 9% of his hands and raising 7%. Ace-10 off does not play well versus that range, especially out of position. If you're playing a hand out of position versus in position, then your range has to be stronger than your opponent's range, or you have to have some very good information regarding bet size or tendencies that you can use to create an advantage in your favor. And we have none of that. So it's a mistake to play ace-10. And as I say that, he ends up having the ace-5 suited, which we had dominated, and makes me look kind of silly, but that's the thing. It doesn't matter what he actually had. We're playing against his range, and ace-10 off is just not a good hand in that situation. If the 1 seat were, if you were crazy aggressive, like super aggressive, very very steely type player, like the 6 seat at the bottom left is stealing 86% of hands, then the ace-10 off then becomes a 3-bet. Ace-queen off on the button, clearly stealing. And as you can see right there, and the bottom left with the ace-king, that's going to be generally the type of hands that the 1 seed is going to be raising with. They're just extremely tight player. C-betting, the bottom right, I don't expect to get raised very often, and we do get raised. Pretty annoying spot to be raised. I think you can make an argument for going nuts. It doesn't appear as if we're in a fighting mood today. And there are some days that you feel more willing to engage, whether it be your confidence level is higher than normal, or sometimes people want to engage when they're on tilt. It's just depends on how you're built. We can't be mindless automatons who just don't react to our feelings whatsoever. No matter how steeled and hard we are, we're always going to have some sort of reaction. I read a book by Josh Waitzkin called The Art of Learning, and he talks about this chess player who every morning he would spend a couple of hours meditating and thinking and listening to his inner voice, and he would find he would basically figure out who he was that day and play chess to mimic how he was feeling so that he could play optimally. And I think poker's a lot of the same. Certain days we're going to be playing in certain images, and we should embrace that. And that's one of the main benefits of knowing all the moves, having all the weapons in your arsenal so that you can play a variety of different styles based on how you feel. And at the bottom right, we pre-flop raiser, who's very aggressive, stealing very often, did a check back line on the flop, pot control. So we thought the best hand we thought top pair was the best hand, and a check raise on the turn looks pretty bluffy. So we took the line, and he ended up paying us off with ace high. So that's pretty good. I'm not saying you have a blank check to just play however you feel, whether it be, you always want to play winning poker. You want to know how to use all the styles to your advantage to play profitable winning poker. Flop to set, that's pretty good. Looks like raise the flop, betting the turn for value, obviously. And it looks like we got a light peel, probably something like queen 10 or 9-10, some kind of draw. He probably doesn't have an ace there because he didn't really tank long enough. I guess he probably got priced out. That would be my guess. C-bet flop with the ace jack and top pair where the guy checked back. The turn, we're definitely going to value bet the river, and he folded. Bottom left, kind of a weird, not really weird. The preflop raiser check back, ace high board 3 ways, so I don't expect preflop raiser to have anything on that particular board ever. As you can see, he just instantly folded. I don't really like folding to the fish there just because we could river a pair and be good. His bet sizing didn't really indicate very much strength. I think you can make a very good argument for peeling with the king 10, and you can make an argument for raising the turn with the king 10 and then going ahead and betting the river, since I don't think he's got a ton of aces in his range. I think we can fold out most of his hands with the raise on the flop, raise on the turn, and a bet on the river. I don't mind isolating versus the under the gun limper at the top right with the king 10 off. It's not a great hand, but it's better. It's way ahead of his range. He folds the c-bets fairly often. He's pretty passive. I think we get a lot of calls pre and then just folds on the flop, and we make decent money. As it turns out, he had a worse king than us because it says we won $50 with kings and twos with a 10 kicker. So this hand is, I remember this hand specifically at the top left. Betting pattern on the flop didn't indicate that he had a good hand. So we're going with that read. We call with bottom pair. And now we've committed ourselves with this run out to pay him off, and that's the hand he shows up with. I would say that's a pretty unfortunate run out for us. We had the right read on the flop, and it just didn't work out. That's poker. The thing about using a bet size tell to call somebody down like that is, from my experience, they will make a weakish C bet on the flop and follow it up by an 80% bet on the turn. So you really, and then the river is, debatable depending on what they think our range is and what we'll be calling their river bets with. That will determine their frequency of bluffs. So based on the bet sizing information, I'm going with my read and expect to pick off a ton of bluffs. I didn't really see what happened at the bottom right with the $800 pot, but looks like somebody got a little wild with top pair. It's an interesting hand. He flats my, ends up flatting the 3-bet, and I check call the flop, and he ends up betting the turn as well. And I meant to look this hand up, and I never did. If he ships on the turn, it's if he ships on the turn, I think I like calling. Versus a smaller bet, it's trickier for me. I don't think he makes that bet sizing with kings or queens or jacks. Like, he probably just checks back, and with his bluffs, he probably just ships. Like, I know our hand is very under-repped. I just can't imagine a hand that we beat. So I ended up folding, and it's a pretty tough hand. I'm looking it up as we speak, just because it's a super, super interesting spot. We could have 4-bet with the king jack over there, but we didn't. All right, what does he have? The big blind has ace queen. All right, so we made a good fold. Thank goodness. And I'm missing action here, but my curiosity was piqued. I really had to know. Really had to know what he had. I think based on his bet sizing, if he ships, he probably gets called. I think his best play was to check back the turn. If he checks back the turn, then I think he has the big pairs in his range, and we probably end up value betting ourselves to death. He played his hand in a way that he's only going to get action if he's crushed, which is never what you want to do. I know it's super annoying watching me switch tables like this. It's Bovada doesn't refresh their lobby super often, so it's kind of a crapshoot finding that elusive fourth table. I think this is a good spot to mention that I have been diligently writing exclusive articles and content for my email list. So if you get the chance, enter your email into my list and I will add you, and you'll get all fresh exclusive articles from Enhance Your Edge. I would say that I I've spent a lot of time writing them, and I honestly I want to post them on enhanceyouredge.com because I really like the message, and they're only available via the newsletter. But who knows? Maybe I'll give up and just post them on the website. They're my babies, you know. You spend a lot of time and effort into creating content that you hope helps people, so you want it to reach as many people as possible. I know that I used to never want to. I used to never want to give my email address, but I have now learned that there's tons of valuable information from tons of sites that I would have missed out. JamesAltucher.com is one newsletter that I subscribe to and read religiously. I think he's very insightful, and I love what he has to say. That's JamesAltucher.com. It's been a very big influence on me personally. Little break in the action here. We're don't really have much going on. At the bottom left, we have a player who directly on our right who has playing 55% of hands, never raising, hardly ever folding to continuation bets. He's winning $358 right now. It's a very good scenario for us to make some money. Pocket eights on the bottom right. Maybe something exciting will develop. I don't expect the 2-seat to 3-bet me super light because of the 4-seat stack size, but eights is just too good of a hand to fold 4 ways in position versus a 3-bet. I would say this is a pretty high equity flop for us. We have the nuts, top set. No reason to get crazy. By calling, we can rep many just one pair type hands that he's either going to try to blow off with his bluffs, or value bet with his overpairs. This is a turn that I don't think he would expect us to just flat if we had a set. So we're still trying to rep the one pair type hands. Maybe the deuce. Maybe we peeled the pocket 5s or 6s on the flop, and the deuce gave us extra equity. There's only half a bet left on the river, a little more than half a bet. So I really love the way we played that. I think it's just has to be the most optimal way. although the 2-seat doesn't raise very often, we're peeling in position because he's a weak player. He's very fishy, very predictable. Um, we can we can discern what his motivations are. We have an edge with a very wide range. We have a big edge just in the playing aspect over him, so that allows us to peel and see flops in position with weaker hands. If you're unsure, I think a good rule of thumb is that if you're unsure ever about if you have a big enough edge to be peeling in position with weaker hands and things of that nature, you're probably better off just folding, just giving it up. Limp raise at the top right. As you have seen, we do that with a pretty wide range. We peeled at the bottom left because we want to get in pots against the fish on the button, even if our range is pretty dominated by the 1-seats opening. I don't really like how we played the bottom right. I think we should have raised this board. The bottom left, I think we very, very well could have raised that board as raised that flop. I don't think he has a ton of good hands in his range. I expect to win this with Queen Jack. Yeah, there we go. And I would have called a bet too, had he bet. I don't think he doesn't check back an 8 or a tray for value. We have Queen Jack, so we're blocking King Queen and King Jack, which are hands that would bluff the flop and then value bet us on the river. So we have the blockers to Queen Jack, to King Queen and King Jack. Queen High is most likely going to be the best hand there. Definitely worth a call. Ace Jack suited, peeling. I think it's some people may say fold versus an under the gun raise. It's just really hard to get me to fold Ace Jack suited versus 1 raise pre-flop, regardless of where it comes from. It's and as it turns out, we're sharing hands, which actually means that we're in a negative position because he has the initiative and he has position on us and he has the appearance of a stronger than normal hand because he raised under the gun, so his perceived range is better than ours. If he would have c-bet that flop, he would have just won. And that's the argument for not playing the Ace Jack suited in the first place. Also with the Ace Jack on the flop of Deuce Deuce 9 2 clubs, as an under the gun raiser, he has such an advantage with the initiative that checking back is just, it's irresponsible. It's not a good poker play. His range crushes my range. I have 0 repability. It's very hard for me to rep a deuce. If I have a 9 versus a triple barrel under the gun range, it's really hard for me to pay off. Like, he can really do a lot of good things um, by firing the flop and then following up on the turn and river. It's okay, and the thing is if I have pocket fives and I get stubborn and I call him down, assuming that his range is protected, which means that for every time he has the ace jack, there are 2 times that he has a value hand, or 1.5 times he has aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, nines, or even a hand like ace 9 suited. Then it's a profitable play for him to triple barrel. The problem comes when you triple barrel too often against players that don't recognize the strength of it and call anyway. It's really a fine line, and you have to know your competition very, very well. But playing against somebody with my stats, 1911 in the top left, you just have to assume that your range is ahead of my range. I have lots of pocket pairs, and really just go nuts and exploit me, because with a lot of pocket pairs there, I can be very, very exploited. Like there are some elements that we forget about while we're playing, or that maybe we don't forget, but we don't recognize all of them. And there's a natural, like for instance, when there's 3 players, when a pot's 3 ways, and one player is a fish who never folds, this handcuffs the initiative, the pre-flop raiser, like who can normally be super aggressive and plays all of his hands very fast. It really handcuffs him into playing more ABC versus the fish and versus the other professional. And the other professional is handcuffed in the same way. You're going to give information about your hand just simply because of the scenario. You should always be taking that information into account and applying it to what's going on. Very good flop for the ace-10, and this is a board that I don't expect him to call on very often, seeing as he did not continuation bet. If he does call, I would think that he has some sort of 9, but probably not a draw. So queen 9, king 9, ace 9. This is honestly a good card for us to bet. In hindsight, I do not like my check behind one bit. I feel like queen 9. I mean, maybe he checks behind 6s, but a lot of paired straight draw type hands, he's just going to continuation bet. I know that it feels pretty vulnerable for me with showing every hand that I play and admitting and analyzing hands that I feel are mistakes. But it's good. I think it's very positive to watch a video of a winning player and see that they're human. They make mistakes just like you do. It's okay. You don't have to blow a gasket, destroy your computer, like Mike Mattisau, throw his computer into the pool. Like, mistakes happen. Nobody's ever played a perfect session that lasted, for any length of time. I don't care if you're Phil Ivey or anybody. You're going to make mistakes. All right, this is an interesting one. We got a min 3-bet from the fish, who hasn't been 3-betting that often. We have ace queen. We decide to 4-bet small. I like it. I think that we do very well versus his min 3-bet range, and we have a lot of rep ability. So, king high board, we're going to bet. If he calls, I think we fire again. Because we have the blocker for ace king and king queen. So if he gets stubborn and calls, I'm going to fire another shell. Tens at the top right, we are going for a limp raise. And I think that's pretty obvious from watching me through our previous videos. That is my play of choice. The only player that I'm really concerned about in this spot would be the 2 seed. The 3 seed, I believe, has nothing, and the 5 seed has nothing, else he would have bet on this board. We get a pretty miserable turn card in the ace of hearts, and an easy fold. So I tried to Twitch just today, and I can't figure out how to do it very well. I have a Mac, so the software that you use to Twitch on the Mac doesn't have a delay. So I'm not going to live stream me playing without a delay, because that seems pretty silly. Anybody could just watch me and pick me off. So I'm thinking that I'm going to record some videos and play them back on Twitch. I don't really know how to do that. I don't know anything about getting the audio set up. I don't know what you can hear. If anybody has any help or advice when it comes to Twitch, send me an email, brad@enhanceYourEdge.com. I would love to hear from you. And if you want me twitching, then that would be very, very helpful and a great step in the right direction. I haven't seen the action at the top right table, so I don't really know what's going on. Top 2, snap leaves. The 4 seed had middle 2. So, what can you do? Ace jack off, heads up. I really could make an argument for 3-betting that. We opt to just peel, and we opt to just fold. And we could make an argument for check raising that board as well. Very draw heavy board at the top left. I don't like the fact that I check behind. versus this guy. I much rather would have continuation bet, but alas. Alright guys, my video is wrapping up. I think we got about 30 seconds left. Remember to join my email list and get my articles. I put a lot of time and effort into helping you guys, and it would be great for you to be able to receive all my materials. If you want to contact me, brad@enhanceYourEdge.com. I hope to hear from you soon. Good luck at the tables. And yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. Have a great day.